Siku ya Mungu. Waheshimu baba na mama upate miaka mingi na heri duniani. Usiue. Usizini. Usiibe. Usiseme uongo. Usitamani mwanamke asiye mke wako. Usitamani mali ya mtu mwingine. Amri za Mungu.
Kupata
amri za Mungu.
Kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza neno sikiza likifuatwa na nambari 738102551. Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki.
Hello there, good morning dear viewer, and welcome to this live mental health discourse with me, Sasha Elizabeth. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, and we are all here set to bring you this discourse and conversation on mental health, that is clinical depression, the silent tormentor. The COVID-19 pandemic resulting economic recession has negatively impacted on people's mental health, and it has also created new barriers for those who are already suffering from mental illnesses and substance use and disorders. So now, as you can see on your screen, clinical depression, this silent tormentor, it is silent because very few people get to speak out about their mental situation, and even more fewer people really understand or can accept that they actually are sick and they need help. So today I have a guest here. So first things first, let's get to know who he is before we proceed. But remember, he is not new in our studios. He has always been here, always ready to respond to your questions. Welcome, Father Ndolo.
Thank you, Sasha.
Wamukata.
Nesa.
Wamukanesa.
Wamukanesa.
How are people at Convoza St. Andrews?
They are doing well. They are doing well. A little bit anxious because the long rains, the November and December rains have not yet come. Wow. So we are very anxious whether that is going to happen or not.
Let's pray that you receive the downpour very soon.
Please.
Okay, welcome so much. We are really happy to have you today, yet again for another important conversation on mental health.
Right.
He is Father Francis Ndolo, a priest at St. Andrews Convoza in the Catholic Diocese of Kitui. He is here to help us dissect this subject that is of great importance to us, especially right now that we are still grappling with the pandemic. Remember, you can be part of this conversation by communicating to us. Send your feedback, your questions on our social media platforms. It is Capuchin TV across all our platforms. And you can also send an SMS or call us on 0717-424-866. So welcome, let's talk health. My name is Sasha Elizabeth. So now, Father, let's start with the basics as usual. What do we mean by clinical depression, and how different is it from stress?
Yeah, clinical depression is one of the many mental health problems or mental disorders, and it is characterized by sad mood, lack of pleasure, and lack of interest in things that one used to enjoy. So it being a clinical problem, mental health problem, is codified, is recognized by DSM. You remember that big book, the Bible of counselors, called DSM-5, and it has been given all the criteria, all the symptoms. So out of more than 10 symptoms, one need to have 5 of them or more, but one of them should be mood, change in mood, depressed mood, sad mood, or lack of pleasure, lack of interest in things that one used to have. So that's what depression is. Yeah, it's a mood problem, and primarily a mood problem, and cognitive also, because there's that change in the way one thinks, and also the body also is also involved in the way one feels. The body feels, as we are going to see, many symptoms will be very physical in the body.
Okay, so now we'll talk more about the severity levels. We'll compare it more with stress, especially the mild level of depression, right? So maybe why speak about, people be asking, why talk about depression right now?
Yes, you did ask a little bit there about stress and depression. There are two different things. Stress, which can be mental, stress that can be physical, can be one of the causal factors for depression, as we are going to see. But this is a very distinct, very recognizable kind of mental health problem: depression, clinical depression, or major depressive disorder, or major depression. Many names, but the same phenomenon. All right, now talking about depression at this particular time, I think it's important because, as we are going to see, some of the causes of depression are upsets in life, relationship issues like divorce or separation, heartbreaks, violence, bad diagnosis, loss of job, loss of property, loss of one's health. And at this time we're struggling with the pandemic, many of these things have happened, because we have read how there have been a lot of family discord because of depression, because of the pandemic. How many jobs, how many businesses have been disrupted because of this. And so, as you said in the beginning, for those who struggle with other mental health problems and depression, it must have been a very difficult moment, because one of the things to deal with mental health problems, many of them, is to immerse themselves in society, with the family, with the friends, with the groups where somebody is understood and affirmed and appreciated. But you see, the big thing with the pandemic is that stay away from crowds, stay away from people, stay indoors, don't move unnecessarily. See, that kind of a thing. Now, with that cut social interaction, diminished social interaction, then you can imagine somebody who has depression and wants maybe to talk to people, or the loved ones need to be there in order to assure this person, to make sure that the person does not just stay inside the room or sleeping or ruminating. That's cut. Many of them had a lot of problems. And then also new people getting depressed because of the many disruptions and distractions that the pandemic has had in livelihoods and personal relationships and so on and so forth.
Thank you, Father Ndolo. Dear view, it is really important to note the statistics that the World Health Organization estimates that more than 300 million people worldwide live with depression. It is one of the major causes of severe suffering among people and a great contributor to the global burden of disease. And remember, the world loses billions of dollars per year because of this depression, the kind of the negative impact that it has on the masses, on the populations. And we have seen some signs of this as we see so many incidents happening, as Father Ndolo has mentioned. So there is really that need for us to normalize discussing and giving courage and confidence to those who really are not able to come out and speak, so that it can be helped accordingly. So what is the prevalence rate of depression in Kenya and maybe globally?
As you say, World Health Organization recognizes that there may be about 300 million people who have this problem. When we come to Kenya, we find that the statistics are very scanty because of the limited research that has been done. Because for you to be able to get those figures, a lot of research, which is very expensive and requires people who are competent, needs to be done. So we have a few that have been done. For example, in 2014, Caleb Otieno and others did some kind of research, some kind of analysis. They took some people from, some students from Nairobi University, and they found that those with moderate symptoms of depression were about 35.7%, severe about 5.6%, and as usual, they found that women were more likely to have depression than men, and that's how statistics are worldwide. Some people have said 1.9 Kenyans have depression. Some people have been bold enough to say that, and another study of 17 secondary schools here in Nairobi in 2012 by Dr. David Detey found that there was a prevalence of 26.4% of depression among students in these 17 schools in Nairobi County. Some others have said that 1 in every 10 Kenyans is struggling with a mental health problem of one kind or the other. Okay, and you remember the task force that Uhuru Kenyatta commissioned for the country, a task force that was given the mandate to go and study the community and see, to be able to tell the mental health status of the country. And that was given to Dr. Frank Jenga, a man who has done a lot to popularize mental health issues here in Kenya. And they found that depression and anxiety in this country are very high, are the two leading mental health problems in Kenya.
Thank you.
And I can even in my clinical experience, depression presents a lot more than anything else out there. And so, therefore, in Kenya, we have a very big problem. And Dr. Jenga and the other task force members commented that a kind of emergency, a state of emergency be declared in Kenya for mental health issues, because they found so much about mental health issues that they think that the government should act fast, fund researches, fund initiatives to curb this problem. So talking about prevalence in Kenya, yes, it's there, and we see it all the time, and these few studies have been able to bear that.
You've already mentioned a few causes of clinical depression. What are the most common causes of this condition?
According to my experience, is the things to do with social upsets, social dysfunctions, family issues, like we have said, whereby there's divorce, there's separation, there's a drinking problem out there, there's loss of jobs, or somebody suddenly loses a loved one, or loses a job, or loses his property, or loses a very important case. Upsets like those do bring about depression. Of course, there are also there's also other causes apart from environmental factors like those. There's also the whole thing about genetics. Depression runs in families. So if you are from a family where there is somebody who had depression, either from your mother's side or father's side, you are likely to have that. So genetic predisposition is one of those. Other issues may be substance abuse, alcohol and other drugs. People who take those risk also having depression with full symptoms.
So those who are already depressed also, they can turn to substance. So it can be both a cause and something that people run to when they are depressed.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it can be a cause and also a coping mechanism for people. So you find that before we clinically diagnose somebody with this condition, we have to rule out all these other things, especially drug abuse. Somebody may be having a medical condition, physical medical condition that can bring this, like thyroid problem, can bring that. A stroke can also bring depression. And also certain medications some people use, prescription medication one has, can also cause depression. So for me, the major cause is that those environmental I do see again and again also depression that is running in families caused by genetics or biology.
Are there different types of depression and depending on their severity levels?
Severity levels of depression range from mild, moderate, and severe. Okay, and those classifications are just state how serious the depression is. And so mild ones, one can still function with ease, but with some struggle. The more we go towards severity, then a lot of disruptions, a lot of impairment in the social domain and also in occupational domain and on personal level begins to be very serious, such that when we get to the severe depression, then that person is almost immobilized and is not able to function as a family woman, as a family man, as an employer, as an employee, as a young person, in a student in the university or in school and wherever. Very serious. So that is there. Now, when it comes to types. There are subtypes. You have dysthymia, which is a kind of a recurring depression. It disappears, then comes again, comes again throughout for many years, like that. Many people get just one episode of depression and it's gone for good. Others continue to have repeated cycles. So dysthymia is is not very severe, but comes again, comes and goes, comes and goes. Then we have postpartum depression that gets, mothers about 4 weeks or so after they deliver. There is also another kind of depression being talked about there, where mothers, even when they are pregnant, they get that. And then there is depression that is associated with other mental health problems like schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, bipolar, and all that, whereby you find depression is a component. Like bipolar, for example, it has to be mania and depression. Then when it comes to schizophrenia, you find symptoms of that also, plus the psychotic features like hallucinations and all those kind of things. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, speaking of severity levels, there is a thin line between mild depression and stress. How can one tell the difference between the two?
Now, stress is a very amorphous term, Stress is, some people talk about stress to say problems, or talk about stress to underline maybe something difficult going on in their lives. You see that? So what I would say is that there is no clinical condition called stress, but there's a clinical condition called depression. So talk about, say, for example, what I've said there. Social problems, whereby somebody is stressed, is not able to sleep, is worried, is fearful because they lost their job, or they feel that their marriage is going to go on the rocks, or they're going to be sacked, or they're going to, they've been diagnosed with a very bad disease and things like that. That person, you can see, is stressed. And that, by itself, can be one of the causative factors of what? Of depression. Instead of comparing depression and stress, which is very, very general, problems that can precipitate depression, and then depression itself, which is now, once all those things take place and then symptoms are there, then somebody runs with it. Yeah. I don't know whether that delineation is...
It does, yeah,
okay.
Sure, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So now, there has been a growing concern on mental health, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. What's your take on the implications of COVID-19 on mental health in Kenya?
Sure, it must have hiked the numbers, for sure, because as we have just said, we have already listed a lot of things that COVID-19 has already brought, loss of jobs. A lot of people lost their jobs. And that made a very big difference in, they were stressed. They had a lot of problems, financial problems with the lenders, with their families, having to move from 3 bedrooms to, some are having to lost the job, so that they cannot stay maybe in cities. They had to go to the rural areas. You know that. So some had to sell their cars. Some had to go to their savings in order to be able to, and that's very stressful. Then, because I've lost my job, because my business is run down, is gone under, I have less money now. I'm a family man or family woman. Then the stress of having to educate children, to shelter them, to feed them, and all those kind of things. So it's a whole cascade of things. Then the fear and the stress of, am I going to get this thing? Or am I going to die from this? And then stress more of a colleague or a child or a parent who has died because of COVID-19. And then you have all those kids and all those other dependents and relatives, going through depressive episodes because of that. So it has been very complicated. And then more complications, as if that are not enough. The isolation part of depression, of the pandemic. One of the things is stay away from people, stay alone, don't go to the crowds, don't mix with people, which is very bad for somebody with depression, because we discourage people with depression from just locking themselves in their room and staying there and not talk to somebody, just sleeping. That's very dangerous, because it will get worse and worse. We encourage them to get out there, meet friends, mix, go to prayer groups, go to jumuiyas, go to Bible studies, go to the places of entertainment, and enjoy your music and enjoy good laugh with friends and stuff like that, to feel high and not to ruminate. Social support, but people coming to tell you, Paul, they have to stay with you and showing that they care. How is that going to happen if you're not supposed to be very close to somebody?
At this point, some people feel like if they have already lost their job, they cannot really be able to finance the kind of life that they're used to in their cycles. So they feel that it's better to pull off and maybe just cut yourself out from the groups.
Yes, again, because maybe you're ashamed, or you cannot be part of that group, you cannot afford that lifestyle level, and all that kind of a thing. So it's a losing situation, step after step, again and again. This pandemic is really a big, it has wreaked havoc. And people with challenges with mental health, like depression and PTSD, as we say, and many other disorders, they were really affected. Maybe got worse, others who didn't have them started having them, and so on and so forth.
Thank you so much, Father Francis Ndolo, and it is clinical depression. We're just trying to understand more on this subject that is really making us raise eyebrows, scratch our heads to try and understand and explain whatever is happening in our societies, in our jobs, in our offices, in our communities. It's time to take a breather. We'll be right back with more with this, so stay tuned.
Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki.
Kitubio au upatanisho. Sakramenti ya kitubio ndiyo sakramenti ya kuondolea watu dhambi walizotenda baada ya ubatizo. Sakramenti ya kitubio pia huitwa sakramenti ya upatanisho, ipo katika fungu la sakramenti za uponyaji. Kuna sakramenti mbili za uponyaji, kitubio na mpako mtakatifu wa wagonjwa. Dhumuni haswa la sakramenti ya uponyaji ni kuzirejeshea uhai roho zetu pale zinapougua kwa kutenda dhambi. Yesu ndiye tabibu mkuu wa roho zetu, naye yu tayari kututibu kila tunapougua.
Kupata kitubio kama Skiza Tune yako, tuma neno Skiza likifuatwa na nambari 738100273 kwa 811.
Na pia nawashukuru tena kwa support unapatia Capuchin TV. Ile support tunapatia Capuchin TV ni muhimu sana, kwa sababu kazi wanafanya ya kuhubiri injili kote, mimi siwezi, hata wewe, kwa sababu huna ujuzi, lakini hao kwa kuwasaidia tunafanya hiyo kazi.
Tuendelee kufanya kazi. Paybill number 510678. Account name Caps TV.
You are watching Capuchin TV. For any complaints, comments, or compliments on our programming, you can either write to us on info@capuchintv.co.ke, or you can call us directly on 0717 424 866. Your complaint shall be addressed within 7 days. Remember to keep a copy of your communication with us. Keep watching Capuchin TV, your Catholic identity.
Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki.
Right, welcome back and thank you for keeping tabs with us. This is Mental Health Discourse with me, Sasha Elizabeth. This is our second session and we are discussing the topic clinical depression, the silent tormentor. With me in studio is Father Francis Ndolo, a counseling psychologist and a priest at the Catholic Diocese of Kitui. And before we went a break, we were trying to understand the concept of clinical depression. How different is it? The different severity levels? And of course, clinical depression vis-a-vis COVID-19 pandemic. We can never rule out that because it is something that has really changed our lives upside down in different domains. So now back to our subject. Welcome back, Father, to this second session.
Thank you, Sasha.
Now,
yes, Sasha.
We really missed out a very important aspect of this. I know we've just mentioned some of some kind of behaviors that people with depression can present, but we need to know really the common symptoms and signs and symptoms of clinical depression as per your clinical experience.
Thank you. As per my clinical experience and also that book, the DSM, is the one that guides us so that we can talk as mental health practitioners one language. So according to DSM-5, you find that there are so many symptoms, and for somebody to be diagnosed with depression, there has to be 5. There are more than 10 symptoms, but one has to have at least 5 symptoms, and one of those must be depressed mood or lack of pleasure and interest. Right? We have already said that bit there. So there are so many there, like poor sleep, disturbed sleep, very little sleep, or too much sleep. One begins to have that appetite, a lot of appetite, or lack of it completely. Fatigue. Somebody begins to feel very, very, very tired, very slowed down. Somebody begins to tear, cry without any reason. Somebody begins to feel very guilt, very ashamed of themselves. They begin to feel very hopeless, very powerless in their life. They tend to isolate themselves. They don't want to be where the crowd is, or a lot of people. They want to sit somewhere in a corner, away from people, and just think and be quiet there. Those kind of tendencies, irritability, outbursts of anger. Some people with depression will sometimes burst out with a lot of anger, and anxiety, their heart racing and all that kind of sometimes. Poor concentration. I find that one with students, they are not able to concentrate in class. They are not able to follow what the teacher is saying. Their minds are elsewhere, or they are just there, and they are not hearing, they're not grasping them. So very poor concentration, indecisiveness. This is another big one. Indecisiveness. People who have from say moderate depression to severe depression, indecisiveness is very big. The person is not able to make decisions. Somebody begins to make a decision, they reach a certain point, they cannot tie the ends, they cannot complete that. All right? The other one is poor memory. The very poor memory begins to be very poor. They cannot remember a lot of things because of this. Then you find, as I've said there, people begin to have aches, body aches, backache, and other pains in the body. So it's very physiological. And you find that then another big thing is they begin to be suicidal. That's another big one with depression. A lot of deaths in this country are caused by suicide. And again, depression, that's one of the symptoms. One doesn't have to sit down and say, oh, this life is useless, my mother did this, or my husband did this, or I don't know. No, it's a feeling that comes. You feel that hopelessness, and the life does not taste. Everything is so flat, there's nothing. And you feel, the one feels that the best way to get out of this big, dark tunnel is to end their life, So for those people who might, see this in their loved one, serious, depression, they watch out for suicidal ideation. A thought just passes through their mind that life is useless, it's better this life for me to end this life. Just as a thought. Others follow it up and have a plan. Others even attempt and fail.
There is a tendency among people who are depressed to feel like nobody really seems to care, or nobody is able to help them out of the situation. As a therapist and a counselor, what's your take on that?
It is a symptom, because somebody is hopeless, you see. Somebody is sad, is depressed. It's like to depress something is to push it down. It's like the one is moving towards death, Depression is like a kind of slow death of sorts. Because you can see all this fatigue, lack of interest in pleasure, lack of interest in activities, lack of interest in everything, even a job. Somebody with severe depression will wake up in the morning, and they know that they are supposed to go for their jobs. They're supposed to go and tend, to take care of their children or take care of this. They say, whatever, and they just slump back to sleep. And so that feeling of apathy itself, even friends and everybody, they don't think, they feel that so down the drain that nobody can pull them
out.
Yeah, so the best thing is, as I said, just like other, is just to be there, just there. Just not saying much, just being there. Saying, whatever happens, I'm with you, I'm there for you. Is that something I can do? And that kind of a thing. Somebody throws all the cares to the wind. And one of the things that you can see within my clinical experience, is also there in books, is that the person stops grooming themselves. They stop brushing their teeth. They stop, combing their hair.
Walk around with unkempt hair.
Yeah, very dirty clothes, tatters. But they don't care. It's all care. When you care, you get out there and check in your mirror, and you want to look well and nice and wearing well. Oh, what will people think? No, for them, that is not a consideration.
So these are red flags. So if you see your friend, your family member, your loved one is presenting those signs and symptoms, they are red flags. You should know that something is wrong and try to find help for them before it is too late. Now, clinical depression is listed as disability by World Health Organization. At what point is it considered a disability?
You see, World Health Organization collects data and attitudes and views from all over the world, especially from the developed world, where people are advanced in their knowledge and understanding of depression and mental health. And so because they know mental health, especially the severe, when it gets to the severe spectrum, it is so disabling. It is disabling. It is a disability because it disables somebody. The person is not able to function isn't it? Somebody with a disability, say, for example, the person doesn't have both legs, for example, or their hands or their eyes. You see, that limits them in what they can do in order to fend for their... Doesn't take away all their ability, of course, but it does limit them very much. And so when you talk about disability, somebody with disability, and therefore requiring accommodations, say in school, accommodations in the workplace, those kind of things, people to change things so that these people can function. I think depression qualifies for that when it's that severe, because the person is not able to function, to say, for example, to go to take care of their jobs, to take care of their businesses, and their income and their medical health and all that begins to deteriorate. And therefore, I think World Health Organization to push for that to be a disability is in order, especially for those people when it gets to that severity level, and it's recurrent, it's there. It's continuous. It's there just a few weeks or so, and it's back and back, and then the person is not able to function. So when does it become a disability? At a point where the person is able to function and fend for themselves.
Quite clear, and that's great. Thank you so much for that profound explanation. Now, there are different treatment modalities for different mental issues depending on their levels of severity and the types or subtypes of the mental condition. What therapeutic actions are available for clinical depression in Kenya?
And worldwide?
Or across the globe?
Yes. We have medications. We have medicine for medication, different types of medicines, antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, and some psychotic drugs. But that can be, prescribed, and all these medications should be prescribed by somebody who has the license and know-how, not just anybody. They are not. This serious medication cannot be procured over the counter like that, because they can be very dangerous. They need somebody who has experience, who has diagnosed and seen what this is, and is able to monitor even after prescription to make sure that this person does well with this and is not harmed by them. So there are antidepressants, because sometimes the person is so so depressed that they are not able even to talk, not even be able to have, remember, lack of interest, lack of motivation. So you sit there, what can I do for you? How are you feeling? Life is good. Don't, things will be okay tomorrow. For them, that's non-starter. They are not interested in anything. You see, so you
actually pass them off.
Yeah. So you need something to boost their motivation, to boost their mood. It's so low. You cannot, their fingers cannot get, it's like a bahasha. If you put a bahasha or this paper here, it's very difficult for you to get your fingers under it. You see, to lift it. So maybe with the medication, the mood will lift a little bit. Then at least you can have a conversation and be able maybe to help them. So that's one of them. The other one, of course, is psychotherapy, is counseling. And many experts comment combination of both, because that's, counseling will address some of the cognitive changes the person has because they have depression, and also some of the behavioral changes. The counselors, the psychotherapists will be able to help to talk to these people, to normalize their experience, tell them what is happening, the need to comply with the drug regimen that they have been given, and also some of the behavioral and cognitive changes like suicidal ideation. They'll be able now to be able to talk in a logical way, because this person now can at least pay attention and can have some concentration to be able to follow the discussion. Then there is, apart from those therapies, there is another one called electroconvulsive therapy, which is electricity. One is the brain, or that the brain is attached, or the person is attached to some electric current, which is controlled nicely, and that is said to be able to help some people. Another one is cranial stimulation, where the person, I don't know, I have not seen that, but I understand some magnets, are passed through the cranial area, and the person is able to get some relief from that. Then there are those alternative, like in any other, like in the physiological world, we have also alternative medicine. So we also have alternative interventions, like hypnosis, yoga, and people also recommend diet and exercise, to be able to sort all this. But I would say these are from maybe moderate and mild. For severe, yes, you need exercise, you need diet, but you need your medication and some therapy.
Can the physicians tell that this is what they need, or do they need to try out most of these available modalities, depending on?
Those who are treating them like psychotherapists, they will start somebody on medication, and they will see how, because there are so many medications for this. So just like other diseases, like, so for example, if you have a disease like what will I say, one of the physical diseases that we have, so the doctor tells you, okay, get this medication, then come after a week. One of the reasons is what? Is to come and review you, see whether your symptoms and your problems are gone. If they are gone, then continue with that or stop that. If it is not, you are still suffering, then they maybe change the medication, and on and on and on until they get the right one for you. There is also a little bit of that in that area. So you need somebody who is able to diagnose. You need somebody who is trained to do this, and they'll be able to know what kind of modality is good for you. They will try this. If it doesn't work, they'll try another one, and on and until they get what is for you.
Father Ndolo. Now, allow me to read some of the feedback. Tishina says together. Thank you, Tishina, for tuning in. And then there is a question from Prince Mnyika. He asks, I am today joining Capuchin TV, Facebook. Thank you. And question, how can I deal with the stress without anybody stressing me? No, I think he meant, how can I deal with stress without anybody supporting them to get through it?
Okay. Stress, again, that term that is very amorphous, very general, you don't know exactly. But if it is, the disturbances and the worries and the fears and the feeling of overwhelmed by whatever it is, exercise is a very great thing. Exercise is a very great thing because it relieves, it stimulates the production of very good, feel good hormones, in the body. Then have the right diet. Talk to some people. Although they say they don't want to be able to without help. Fine. If you can get somebody who is somebody you love, somebody you know they care. They don't have to talk to you but be around them. Being around them, that feel nice kind of atmosphere around those people or around family. Even if you are not telling them what is going on, is very helpful. Eat well. Eat diet that is okay, and also please also do exercise and get out there and jog. If it persists, please you need to go out and see somebody to be able to help you and tell you exactly what is going on.
Okay, there's one here, Ernest Kimanthi, who says, Reverend Father Francis Ndolo, Parokia St. Andrews, Kwavonzas. Absolutely, you got it right. So now, how long does it take to treat clinical depression? Does it vary depending on the level and the level of severity and the type?
Sure. And many things, many variables here. You go to a therapist, and the therapist is trained in or modality of choice for them is this. And some modalities tend to take longer. Others take short. Maybe the chemistry between the therapist and the client, is not matching, or it takes a lot of time to blend, that can also be a factor. And again, a lot of social support. What kind of social support does a client have at home after this? You see, if the client is alone in a house or out there, that client will find it very difficult to turn around, compared with a client who goes to a family, loving family, embracing family, friends who understand them and they care. All those variables are there, so it's very difficult to tell how long, but it will depend. For some can be 10 sessions, 12 sessions, depending on the modality one is using and all those other variables that are very unpredictable.
Okay, Father, thank you so much. Now our time is against us, but as usual, before we wrap up the discussion, we'd like to give the guest a few seconds to give us his parting shot.
Thank you very much. I thank the Capuchin TV for giving me this opportunity to be able to talk about depression, because this task force that has come out with the report to the president about the situation of the mental health in Kenya, one of the things they recommend is that people should be made aware. There should be a lot of awareness about different kind of mental health issues, so that people can access medical care. They can go to the hospital, they can be there, and many other recommendations. So I'm very happy that people are able to hear this and let people know that there's a cure there. There's help out there. There's something that can be done about what you are feeling. You don't have to just be there pitying yourself and wondering what life has thrown onto you and all that kind of a thing. We are in this condition, depression has been studied, has been analyzed. There are symptoms, there's a way it progresses, and there are treatment modalities. So don't just be there and being sorry about yourself and worrying and all that. Go to the hospital. Go to the hospital, and they will be able to diagnose you. You'll be referred to a good clinician who will help you to get out of this. Some people live with the depression with a lot of help, and they are in all kinds of professions. They are presenters like you, Asasha. They are teachers. They are lawyers. They are business people, and they have depression. But with the help, they're able to function. Without help, then you slam down, and you are, you don't function, and you don't achieve your potential.
Can just live their normal lives with depression.
Yes, and any other mental health with assistance and with help. And so people should be able to be aware of that, instead of resorting to saying, "Oh, this person, we knew this person was very actively motivated. What has happened? Amerogwa, Mapepo." You see that kind of thing is very common in our country. Any problem that people are not used to, or they don't know what to do, they always run to those spiritualizing the whole thing. That's not the solution. Please, let's know this is a illness, like malaria, like typhoid, like the others, and there is treatment out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Father. I like that you mentioned in one of our discussions, our previous discussions, that yes, these things do exist, but before you get to them, seek medical help first and rule out every other options before you can seek the help of your religious leaders. Yeah. All right? Yeah. Thank you very much for making time for this mental health discourse. It's very important. May God bless you and keep you healthy so we can keep doing this.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, dear viewer. Time is against us, but it's quite an informative discussion here on Capuchin TV on mental health discourse, as usual, with Father Francis Ndolo of Kwavonza, St. Andrew's Kwavonza Parish in the Catholic Diocese of Kitui. Now, as we wind up, as usual, I'd like to send my gratitudes and regards to my team behind the scenes. Let me start with the people who are just right next to me, my camera operators, Christopher Diambo and Victor Baraza. And I would also like to thank the team on the other side of the gallery, Edna Mumbi, who have been visual mixers, assisted by Ija Hakim, and our sound operator has been Eric Otieno, and on our transmission desk, we have Peter Mwangi. Thank you very much, dear viewer, for making time for this discussion. We believe that you have gleaned a lot or something that will really help you in your normal operations and as far as clinical depression is concerned, and you can be able to stretch out your hand and help someone who is in need. You can keep your questions coming. We will be sure to forward them to Father so that he can respond to them during our next session or as soon as he is able to. Now, as we close the discussion, it might really seem that nobody can relate to your pain or struggle, but it doesn't mean that you should suffer silently alone. Remember, you don't have to do this on your own. There is hope. However glim it might seem, it is there. So you always need to be there, glean the confidence to be able to share so that you can discern this hope that is always available and next to you. So open up, speak up, and confide in someone that you trust, and you'll be able to find help. My name is Sasha Elizabeth, and until next time, goodbye.
Capuchin TV, kitambulisho Katoliki.
Hivi karibuni tunakuletea kipindi anzilishi cha Shina la Jamii.
Tunachanganua na kupambanua masuala yanayofungamana na jamii.
Ni kipindi kitakachoangazia masuala ya kifamilia kama vile maadili, uhusiano wa kifamilia na mengine mengi yatakayochipuka.
Usuli wa ndoa ni nini?
Ndoa ni safari ya watu wawili, mume na mke.
Na hii safari ina mabonde na milima.
Wengi wanauana na kujitoa uhai. Je, tumekosea wapi?
Tunapokoseana na kupigana na kuumizana, mambo mawili huwa yametendeka. La kwanza ni ukosefu wa mawasiliano.
Communication ndio glue ambayo hold couples together.
Mawasiliano ni muhimu kwa sababu katika hii nafasi ya maisha hamna yeyote ambaye katika ile hali ya kuangalia mwenzangu naweza sema kwamba anawaza hili ama anafikiria hili na angependa hili litendeke na litendeke namna hii.
La pili ni jambo ambalo ni jambo gumu lakini linawezekana, msamaha.
Kuna wale wanaolaumu wazazi, walimu. Je, ni asasi gani ambazo zinahusika katika kuhakikisha kwamba wanajenga familia au jamii iliyo bora?
Lazima tusaidiane. Wakati wowote kukiwa na jambo nzuri na jambo baya kuhusu watoto wetu, tujadiliane, tujue wote.
Na wanasema ndoa ndoano, lakini inafikia wakati unahisi kwamba hii ndoano imeanza kulegea au ina dosari.
Kama mlikuwa mmezoea kuitana babe, honey, suddenly sasa mama fulani, baba fulani.
My husband is anakuanga very careful about image. Na mimi nami nakuanga mtu relaxed. I was brought up as a tomboy because nili grow up na wavulana.
Ungana nami Sasha Elizabeth pamoja na wanandoa Bwana Tom na Bilinet Lichuma kila siku ya Jumatano saa 4 asubuhi na Jumamosi saa 11 alasiri,
tukikujuza mengi kuhusu jamii ya sasa, kuhusu familia, ndoa, watoto na kadhalika. Kumbuka pia tutakuwa tunakuletea wanandoa, wazazi ambao pengine wanafanya malezi peke yao, ambao wamambo wanasema ni single parents. Papa hapa ndani ya Capuchin TV, siku ni Jumatano asubuhi. Nami Sasha Elizabeth.
Jamii bora, maisha bomba.